You've got Tennessee Tech coming up. Tennessee Tech kind of puts the fear in Tennessee baseball, but it shouldn't in Tennessee basketball. What are you expecting from the season lid lifter tomorrow? And step number one on what should hopefully be a long and deep run to the postseason?
Apparently, we're expecting Zakai Ziegler to play. Rick Barnes apparently said it on the Nation tonight that Zakai will play tomorrow night against Tennessee Tech in the season opener, and Zakai tweeted a bunch of smiley faces not long after that, which is usually your clue that. And Tennessee basketball retweeted it, which is the official confirmation, I guess, that Zakai's going to play tomorrow. And I mean, it's an inferior opponent. They should take care of business like they did against Lenore Ryan. What we've seen from this team, they're pretty explosive offensively. They're going to do their usual thing on the defensive end. Get Zakai out there, get him for a few minutes, see what he looks like, and try to more so kind of shift your focus towards Wisconsin and how many minutes he can give you there in a big road game, a big Big Ten environment. Once again, it's like we were there a couple weeks ago, but now we're back on the Big Ten tour for basketball. So they'll go to Wisconsin Friday night. Looking forward to that one. It'll be a huge one.
Grant, how much of this for Zakai is just get your feet wet? This is a good game to get your feet wet. You'll get the ovation everybody's looking for at home. You get a shift, if you will, to borrow a hockey term. Probably not going to play a ton, but just to kind of get lathered up before you get into some intensity stuff and they ease you back in. And how much of this is Zakai just finally wore everybody down to the point where they're like, okay, listen, we've held him off as long as we can hold him off. He's got to play a little bit here so we can continue his progress and continue to build him up for what we want him to be later in December and into January.
The kind of weird thing is it feels like to us that have watched them practice for a little bit now for the month of October. We saw him some in July too. It feels like he's been back the entire month of October. It feels like he's been his normal self. It feels like, I don't know if he's been full go in practice, but it looks like he's been full go based on what we've seen. I mean, we were there in July and he was running stadium steps at Thompson Bowling Arena while the team was practicing. That's how healthy he looked back in the summer. So I think tomorrow night, I think it's more about just getting him out there, knocking the rust off, kind of getting the welcome back Zakai Ziegler stuff out of the way and play him however long you feel like playing him. I doubt they'll go full workload that you might see Friday night at Wisconsin with Zakai because it is Tennessee Tech, but just get him out there, let him kind of get back that feeling on the floor, game night, that kind of thing. But it feels like to us that have watched him that he's just been back and he's been his normal self basically the entire preseason. I'm surprised they didn't kind of get that stuff out of the way against Lenore Ryan. And there was some talk that maybe he would try at Michigan State last Sunday, but they've waited till now. And I guess the time is now to kind of get that out of the way.
Grant, how much is this for the next week, even though Wisconsin, a Big Ten environment and a quality opponent, how much is right now for the next, and how many more weeks is this experimentation for Rick Barnes of just who plays well together? What are we doing? I want to see what this combination looks like versus what that combination looks like. Do these two guys play well together? Can we go big? Can we go small here? How much of this for the next month is just kind of mad scientists, if you will, playing with a really deep roster?
I think, funnily enough, this was supposed to be kind of something that happened at Michigan State where they're going to play a ton of kids and empty the benches on both sides. And I think the competitive juices got going in that one a little bit, and both guys wanted to win, and they started throwing their guys out there, their top end guys, top of the rotation guys, and tried to win that basketball game. I think it'll be, it's Tennessee Tech. It's, you can't really do that as much at Wisconsin. You're going there to try to win a basketball game, win a big road game. I think you need to start knowing kind of what your rotation is by the time you get to Maui because it's loaded and it's 3 games in 3 days and it's going to be really good competition. Starting with Syracuse, not the best team in the field, obviously, but it's still Syracuse, and you're going there to win basketball games against a really, really good field there. And then you go to North Carolina as soon as you get back. I mean, you got Illinois coming to Thompson Bowling Arena the second week of December 9th, I think. So this entire non-conference, it feels like, is pretty loaded. And the point of it is to pick up some big wins and get yourself battle tested for conference play. It's also to figure out kind of yourself and your rotation and the guys that play well together and all that stuff. So it's going to be, I think by the time you go to Maui and by the time it kind of business picks up a little bit, you need to start knowing who you are around that time, I think.
I know it was just 2 exhibitions and one was against Lenore Ryan. So again, you can't just read into everything, but I mean, that exhibition on the road to Michigan State, I mean, that's just something, again, we talked about it. You just don't get that a lot, before the season starts. Right. That being said, I mean, Dalton Connect and Jordan Gainey, I mean, are they legit going to be dudes? I mean, are they going to be, up there, fighting with Santi and Zakai and everybody, and Josiah sometimes for leading scorer every single game? I mean, offensive weapons, are they going to be the real deal for Tennessee?
Eric Kane, you've worked for me with worked with me for a year now, so you should know how big of a cynic I am, and I need to see it to believe it. I need to see it consistently. I need to see it for long
Hubs
stretches
is
of
rubbing
the
off
season.
on you now. Come on.
I know. No, I mean it's 9 years of covering Tennessee basketball. Basketball is such a long season, and you take so many different shapes and forms throughout the season. Dalton Connect looks legit, and what he's looked like in these two exhibitions is what we've heard all summer about it. And I didn't really buy into what we heard all summer because I needed to see it with my eyes. I saw it at Michigan State, saw it with Lenore Ryan. Now I just need to see it pretty consistently. He looks like a legit scorer. He's got the size, he's got the skill. I think he's an NBA player down the line. He's got to be that guy that makes a difference for them. And Jordan Gainey, too. They brought him in to be a shooter. He's one of the best shooters in the country a couple of years ago. Now he's at a higher level, but he's got better talent around him. That should open the floor up for him a little bit. But Rick has to hit on guys in the portal because that's what college basketball is now. You can't strike out there. You can be a great recruiter, prep prospects, that's awesome, but you need to be able to fill in gaps, fill in needs in the portal, and you can't strike out there. And too often they've struck out there. And we saw Tyreek Key score 26 against Gonzaga in Texas last October. So that's why I'm kind of cynical about the whole situation. Let me see it. I think they can be a top 30 Ken Palm offensive efficiency team instead of the 50s and 60s like we've seen the last few years. The defense is going to be there. I just have to see the offense do it consistently, night in and night out against good competition for long stretches of the season.
Hey, Ben wants you to give your best bet at your starting five. I guess it's kind of a trick question. Do one tomorrow, because I would imagine Zakai is not going to be in the starting lineup, and then do one when Zakai is fully healthy, back ingrained, and at that. Well, even then, heck, he's probably still going to be the sixth man. So do your best at starting five.
Tomorrow, I would go Jordan Gainey at the 1. I'd go Santi 2, Josiah 3, Dalton 4, Jonas Adu 5. When they're back and rolling and everybody's healthy and maybe we're a few weeks into the season, I would go Zakai, Santi, Joe, Dalton, Joe, and Jonas. And obviously Jordan Gainey's going to be really early off the bench. Freddie DeLeon's going to be early off the bench. I haven't seen enough personally from Jonas Adu and Tobe Awaka to think they're going to consistently stay out of foul trouble and consistently, be really productive in bigger roles on this team. They've been more secondary role players in the past. Jones played a little bit of a role last year. Tobe was just a few minutes off the bench. I need to see those guys stay out of foul trouble, produce, play disciplined defense, work well on the offensive end. I don't want them out on the floor together. If I'm Rick Barnes, I want to play smaller, play to my skill and my strength. But I think those are my kind of best case scenario starting fives right now.
This is a Final Four team. Zach wants to know.
I need to see an Elite Eight team before I can see a Final Four team. I saw a second round team send Duke home last year, and then go to Madison Square Garden and get sent home by a Florida Atlantic team. That you just never know. It just depends on who you're playing, what you're playing like at that time. I mean, Florida Atlantic, nobody knew who they were this time last year. Nobody knew who San Diego State was this time last year. UConn didn't win a game in the tournament in 2022, and they go and win the title in 2023. So do they have the talent and the depth to be a Final Four team? Sure, if things go the right way and the bracket falls the right way, and you're playing the right way that time of year. But who knows between then and now? It's got 5 months to get there. They certainly could get there, though, for sure.
Grant, Santi going to play? I know he got back on Wednesday. I'm assuming he's going to play and get him going against Tech tomorrow night, right?
I think so. He got back. Let's see, what day were we at Pratt? Thursday, I think. No, Wednesday. We were at Wednesday, and they had been off the day before, so he didn't. As soon as he got back, basically, he got back into practice the next day. And the thing that Justin Gainey said before practice was he's kind of on autopilot mode right now, which means he's been here so long that he knows what's going on. He doesn't have to have a ton of prep time. He's a veteran guy, and he's always a guy that's always been in shape. So I'd expect him to just jump right back in and be the Santi that everybody expects and play the minutes that we normally see from him.
Grant Ramey, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Of course, follow all of Grant's work over Volquest.com. He puts out about 20 stories a day. Football, basketball, whatever's asked of him, he's over there. And of course, he'll be covering alongside Rob Lewis, Tennessee basketball season opener